Hello and welcome to the SuperCoach Hub's Round 9 episode of Pod Hunter. I'm Scoop and I'm here to share a few options this week that are going against the grain that might help you get a leg up as we head into this Origin period. Now, we're starting to ramp up and get ready for all of the buys that are coming through. We're heading towards round 12 we've got 1, 2, 3 more weeks, and then we have basically 6 buys in 8 weeks, where we've got adjustments to our team, more teams missing, and it's time to start looking a little bit more closely at who we actually want to bring in for Origin players versus non-Origin options. There's guys like Adam Fanua-Blake that are a little bit higher owned, so I won't cover in this video, that are starting to be brought in despite the Payne Haas's and the Terrell Mays of the world, because good chance they'll both be missing at this point. Okay, so first of all, I want to share a little website that can be helpful for SuperCoach, more fantasy related, but it has a really, really nice buy planner in it. So we can see immediately where the rounds sit on this buy schedule. And straight away, we can see that teams like the Tigers, the Broncos, the Storm, and the Panthers all have a lot of buys in the rounds 12, 15, 18. They're not great to go for these non-Origin guys. Conversely, it means they're slightly better for holding your actual Origin players like your Clearys and your Payne Haas's and stuff like that, because they use up their buys in those rounds. Now, I'm not going to be saying buy too many Origin players at this point, but I will touch on a couple, and especially those non-Origin options as we start to head towards round 12. All right, so first one on the dissection block this week is Isaac Tungo. Now, he's been pretty underwhelming, probably the last 12, 18 months compared to what we saw him do in 2023, but he's at a very, very reduced price at the moment. The Panthers are last on the table, and he finally had a good game last week. If the Panthers can slowly turn this around, as they often do, remember last year, even though they won, they started quite slow. Nowhere near this slow, but I still think they can be a lot better than Wooden Spoon. Broncos is a tough matchup this week, but his break-even is low, and I think it's not a bad time to jump on. I'm personally not going to go in that direction, but I think that he's a solid option if you want to play different in the centre wing. Somebody that I'm a little bit more interested, though, are the Sharks options. Now, we have one Kale Iro. I'll just bring up the actual changes at the moment. Okay, so if we go and have a look at Iro, he's currently very low owned because he got injured. But you might remember, if you caught the earlier episodes, that I talked him up just because he was running a lot, attacking a lot, and finally scoring a lot of tries. Last season, he averaged 65 and barely scored anything until the end of the season, where he started actually getting the ball close to the line and scoring a lot of tries. So that continued early on into this year and was averaging 80 early season, essentially. And then he got injured halftime and he still managed 61. So, yes, he's very expensive, but the Sharks have a very nice run with the Origin period. They play round 12, they play round 15, and he's got the Eels coming up and a decimated Roosters round 12. So not the easiest schedule with Melbourne and maybe Manly and stuff in there, but very nice over the Origin period. And as I said earlier, I think that he's going to be that next level up this year in that top tier elite centre wing category. Coming off an injury like that, is it risky? Absolutely. It is high re-injury risk for hamstrings and things like that. But when you have Kale Iro against the Eels as a comeback game, it's not a bad one to take that risk and jump on and try and get a ton out of it. Somebody else who may benefit from Where is he? Yeah. Someone else who may benefit from Iro's return a little bit, who's just had the longest try drought of his career, is Mulatalo. So this year he's dropped a fair bit, about 100K, and is still averaging 60 after this century that he's just scored. If we have a look at basically what he's done, 2 tries this year, and he still has 2 tons. Last year, he was scoring every second game because he's a winger on a very good attacking team. He averaged in 2024, he averaged high 60s. He's currently priced a lot lower than that. And again, good schedule, playing against the Eels, good break even, coming into a good matchup. It makes a lot of sense to try and get somebody like Mulatalo into your team if you're prepping for this origin period and are a little bit short on some of those options, um, like your Garricks and your Carrazes and stuff like that. If Carraz does make origin as well, if Lomax's not back in time or something along those lines, Mulatalo could really help out as well. Okay. Third one I want to talk about from the Sharks. They're very, very juicy with those first 2 buys, those first 2 major buys that they play, is Billy Burns. Now, Teague Wilton is out for 2 to 4 weeks because of that shoulder injury he's sustained in round 7 that kept him out last week. And he went big again. Very similar reasons to have a look at him. Very low break even, quite a cheap price. Could basically be another Thomas Carnt, essentially. Very cheap, could make you 150K in quick smart, and then he's just an NPR. And you can either deal with that and use him for a bit of a loop for a while, or just cash him out and continue to ride those price rises. So I really like Billy Burns with the Wilton injury being 2 to 4 weeks. If it's 2, you get two good rises out of him, and maybe he gets to, I don't know, low mid 400s. If it's 4 weeks, maybe he can push 550K even, and be a real sneaky option. I think he's only owned by about 2% of teams at the moment. That's a real pod right there. Really interesting option. Another one that probably isn't the most sensible buy this week, but is still a strong option moving forward, is the new Dragons halfback. This bloke is very highly rated, and yes, he's not going to move in price for a while. It's his debut game, first round, and we don't exactly know how he's going to go in first grade yet. Is his job security great? No, it's not that good. But I think it's a little better than we might realize. If he flops, yeah, they have another option to bring into the halves. I can't remember his name at the moment, but they gave Lockie Ilias 2 whole months, 2 months of criticism and a bit underwhelming, and they've shown their hand and decided to make this change at a basement price. The cash cows, the basement guys, becoming a little bit harder to find as the rookies taper off and are being introduced through the early part of the year. So if you need some price rise boosts and need to make some expensive trades work this week, here's some way that you can potentially leverage that. If you're still holding on to a Jaden Campbell, things like that. I am probably still holding Jaden Campbell through this period just because he looks like a top 2 5/8 very easily, and I've got a lot of other positions in my team that I can cover. If he's not back by round 13, I'm going to start worrying. But I think, I'm not even sure how to pronounce this guy's name. It's a cracker. King Toia. There's a lot of guys with Toia, and Togia floating around at the moment. So I don't mind him. Probably a more sensible buy in a couple of weeks, though. Just keep an eye on him. If you want to buy this week, go ahead. Possibly just wait a bit, though. It's not necessary this week. And then somebody who I'm a little bit surprised is actually a pod. So Rob Derby is 12% owned now overall, but among the top teams, he's still under 10% owned. Highly brought in this week, but not everybody's looking for a risky non-basement price cash cow at the moment. They're looking to gun up or go basement or look for other guys like Savala cashing out all of the second rows like Hubner, Dylan Egan, Thomas Cant, that type of situation, or a halfback. Centre wing in this price category is kind of a bit awkward to actually bring in and work with, but that's a juicy break even. Now, Braden Burns was supposed to be out for a month, so Rob Derby might only have 1 or 2 games. But if he can score more than 30 or 40 for this game or two, he will still make a fair chunk of money. Will he then turn into somebody you have to trade out? Probably. But he's shown that he can be a real attacking weapon. And given Burns' age and, well, tendency for soft tissue injuries, unfortunately, he's one of the worst in the comp for recurring hamstring injuries. Maybe they decide to go with the future in a Rob Derby. I do hope that we see Braden Burns in the future at some point because I love him as a player. But Rob Derby's shown that he can be used as a weapon for the Cowboys on that win. And although he misses round 12, if he does stay in that team, after that, Cowboys don't have any buys until round 27. So it's a very clean, useful schedule for him through the origin period if he does end up staying in the team. Okay, so the last one I want to talk about, actually, no, I'll add someone else into this situation. But if we have a look at the NRL ladder real quick, we can see one glaring thing standing out. So you've probably seen a few graphics on the stats. A lot of teams have played 7 or 8 games for around about 150, 200 points. That's 20, 25 points a game. The Knights are scoring 10 points a game. 10. They're by far the worst attack in the comp at the moment. It's not coming together. Sharp and Ponga especially is suffering as a result. Price changes are nosediving. If they finally get it together like they had early season, because they have that left side complete now with Lucas back, if they can actually get that back together, guys like Gagai, guys like Ponga, guys like Sharp are all going to benefit very heavily. He's at a bit of a strange price, but the actual schedule for him is pretty good. So these Knights options who aren't the origin guys like Ponga play 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. They have basically 9 games straight. Incredibly valuable through this origin period. That's why Greg March, who was such a buy the last 2 weeks, on top of all of those, the low break even and the good scores. That's why if Ponga misses origin, which I seriously doubt, even though his form's a bit atrocious at the moment, he would be basically number 1 pick to bring in for fullback at that point. If you're going to go into this origin period and aren't just playing head to head, and you are looking to target those buy rounds and for your overall rank, you're going to need some of these guys like a few Sharks, a few Cowboys, a few Knights, because their schedule is just so good through this origin period. Now, for a similar reason, you also have Gagai. Now, Gagai has lost nearly 200k at this point. Is he a buy this week? I mean, no, not really. He's not shown anything yet with this Knights team and this Knights attack. He's averaging 51 compared to last year's 70. He's a top tier centre wing when he's on, when the team is humming. But is his age catching up to him now? Possibly. I'm really watching a lot of these Knights guys if the Knights have a turnaround in attack. If they can get it working again, guys like Lucas, guys like Marzu, guys like Sharp, guys like Ponga, guys like Gagai are all going to see a big boost to where they currently are. If we have a look at this whole Knights team, actually, we can see what basically impact it's had on their situation. So Pong's lost 250k, Sharp's lost 50, Gaggar's lost 200, Chiller's lost 100. Marju's the only one that's gained a lot. Bradford Best has kind of remained stationary. And Greg Marju's one was mostly because just the sheer lack of tries last year, because Best can be a bit of a ball hog. I think Marju had 9 tries compared to like 20 something the year before. So when Knights turn around, a lot of these guys, pretty low ownership, are suddenly going to become relevant and turn into really good pods. So that's pretty much all I've got for this week. I think it's mainly the week of the Shark if you're going to go different. The Sharks are very good for the Origin schedule, and with an Eels matchup and a couple of juicy low price options, I don't mind them. Whether it's backline, I didn't even touch on Jesse Ramian, mostly because his schedule against the Storm and some of the teams coming up is a bit atrocious. But he's also one of those guys that can just randomly whack out a ton and get some price rises going. And I think he's about 500k now. There's a lot of really underpriced guys in the Sharks at the moment and in the Knights. I personally would really love to get Billy Burns if Savala wasn't just there. If I had to buy Savala at halfback for some reason and I wanted to get rid of a Kant or a Dylan Egan or a Hubner, Billy Burns would quite probably make his way into my team. Anyway, thanks for watching this round's Pod Hunter. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. Tell me who I should be looking at next week, or maybe who I should be selling in round 10 to get some of these pods from the Roosters, because there's a lot of relevant Roosters. Make sure to catch up with the breakdown, Captain Hindsight, and make sure to join the Supercoach Hub Discord and get around the socials like on X and stuff like that. So until next week, I'm Scoop, and enjoy those pods.